it a dream to have a perennial that blooms for a super long time and you barely have to do any work to it at all? May I introduce you to the blanket flower, or Gaillardia. My name is Nicole and my garden is in southeastern North Carolina in zone 8A. So for me, the blanket flower is a super long blooming perennial. It starts in the very early spring and it will not quit until frost. So some of the things that I'd like to tell you about the blanket flower. First of all, it is heat and drought tolerant. So that's super cool because especially in the summer when this baby's gonna be putting on its best show, we don't have to worry about continually watering it to make it show off. So heat and drought tolerant, that is one little bonus, but another little bonus about this plant, it doesn't require fussy soil. So that means we don't need to have our Miracle Grow brought in and have all this fertilizer inside the soil for this baby to bloom like this. Instead, it actually doesn't mind poor soil at all. It likes well-draining soil. For me, here in southeastern North Carolina, where I live on the coast, I have very sandy soil. This flower loves the sandy soil because it is well-draining, so that is a good thing. You do find the blanket flower growing wild along the highway here, at the beach here, so you can find it in conditions where absolutely nobody besides Mother Nature is taking care of it, and it's a stunner. Some of the other things I'd like to share with you about the blanket flower, it loves full sun. For me, this is excellent because all of my flower gardens are in full sun, so I can have it everywhere. Another feature, which you may or may not love, is that this plant is an amazing self-seeder. So you'll see that this daisy-like flower, it is in the daisy family, when the bloom expires and this turns to seed, it almost becomes like a white pod of seeds that can blow away in the wind. And those seeds will literally find anywhere to seed themselves. I have them in the cracks of my paving stones, for example, because they seem to like it there. This can be both a benefit and a detriment depending on how you feel about it. I happen to have so many blanket flowers that I have to continually give them away. The best time to transplant or divide up your blanket flowers is in the early spring. This is before they're big like this, because once they get to this stage and they have their abundant flowers on them, they're much harder to put in the ground and have them survive and love their life, because now you have to water them quite a lot to get them to perk back up. So if they self-seed for you and grow many plants like they do for me, best time to dig them up and to give them away or to transplant them to other areas of your garden is early spring. So self-seeders love the full sun, love sandy soil. You don't need to worry so much about all the fertilizer and everything. These babies do attract pollinators, so that's something that's super cool. It's beautiful for us, it's great for nature. You see the bees, you see the butterflies, they all love this daisy-like flower. These flowers look gorgeous in all the stages of their growing cycle. So obviously we have a full bloom right here. We have some babies that are going to bloom right here. And then these are what the blooms look like once they've expired and the rays begin to fall off. These are what is going to turn into the seed pods. And a seed pod looks like this. They're very prickly. Speaking of prickly, while I don't happen to have a deer problem myself, I understand that these flowers are deer resistant. So this light fuzz that you can see on the stems here, I guess that is a deterrent for the deer and the rabbits. So that is also a nice feature about this plant. There are multiple options of blanket flowers, so when you are purchasing, please read the tag and make sure you're picking the one that you want for your yard. Because as you can see, this plant right here is a great example of how large the blanket flower can get. It starts out as looking like this little tiny plant at the start of spring, and then it bushes out into something this big. It sort of has a mounding, bushy look to it, plentiful blooms, but if you're looking for it for the front of your garden and you're hoping that it's going to stay low to the ground, this option that I have would not be it, as you can see. I find a way to incorporate blanket flowers, as you can see here and here, into many of my flower beds because, again, I have full sun everywhere. The color and vibrancy that those flowers offer for such an extended period of time is worth it to me. So check your zones, see if they are hardy perennials for you as they are for me here. They could possibly be annuals, but I still think they could be worth it because that color that they add is just so dynamic. One last thing I want to note is I did say that they are drought tolerant as well as poor soil tolerant. This is, of course, once your plant is established. Just like any other plant that you put into the ground, you do need to water it and make sure that it's taken care of until it gets established. And then this baby goes awesome on its own. Thank you so much for watching and happy planting.